It was watching the game with Peter Cushing and Victor Meldrew. I come in bouncing this morning, full of life, and you sucked the life at me.
Right. Alan, would you like to come and watch the next one with me?
I would, honestly, what a nightmare.
Go on, how do you think Brian Robson's feeling?
Well,
now?
I just said to Gordon as we was watching that, welcome to the Premiership, because West Brom have played really well, I thought. I watched the whole game, and they gave as good as they got, and the chances they created, they haven't took them, and they haven't deserved to be beat there, and they've been beaten again.
Right. Now, we had that one chance for the last time on British television. Before I destroy the tape, let's have a look at this Kanu miss. What do you think of this if you're a manager, Alan?
Well, it's obviously a point for West Brom if it goes in. I mean, that's a big point. You don't get beat, and it keeps you ticking over.
Yeah.
If you just imagine what's going on.
Some lip reading here. How did he miss that? That's the question. That's what we all want to know. So, what does he have to do from here? He's got our next two games are Arsenal and Man United. Could well go into December bottom after those two games. So
the next two games, Arsenal and Man United, Brian would take that as bonus balls. Most of the clubs in the Premiership see them clubs as bonus balls, and you've got to win points against the other teams, and definitely pick up points against other relegation-threatened sides. But I would have thought he'd have come away quite pleased today. I think he's looked at his side in action for the first time, and there were some good displays.
Right. OK, and what would your advice to be to him at this stage? Go on.
Brian, I thought his team shape was good today, and I think he's discovered something in Contra. I think he can play there. And I thought there was a good shape to them today, to be honest with you. And I don't think he should be worried. As Brian says, there's going to be 5 or 6 teams down there for a long time.
Right, OK. Finally, you've achieved what you haven't managed all day, made me feel a little bit better. Anyway, all good managers need a thick skin, an understanding wife, and an assistant manager to be the good cop to their bad cop, or even the bad cop to their good cop. Let's see what role Alan's assistant Keith Peacock plays. Just to soften the fella up, we sent his son Gavin as a reporter on this one. Well, he must be in here.
Where's that?
So this is what you get up to. Come in the in the room early, chat with a few of the lads.
In about 15 minutes, we have the team has already been announced today. Yesterday, the full squad to get here, sit down. Curves are coming. This is a relaxing time, really, making sure everyone's here, and then we get down to it. One or two maybe out of the team. We may have a quiet word.
Curbs will name the team. He'll come in and name the team, and then your particular role then.
It's more of an individual thing that I'll do. That's my role really. Mervyn will go across all the set plays later on. I will talk to them individually about 1 or 2 things they could be doing. Perhaps, if I'm talking to Jerome Thomas, maybe there's a weakness in the opposition full-back, or he could pick the ball up in different areas. There's 3 of us, but we have our views. Obviously, Alan makes that final decision, but we give that information, and I try and help as much as I can during the game.
I've always been on my own gear, so I know I've got it.
If we can beat them today, and then that just turns that into that they're right down there and we're...
It gives us a big gap. They'll have only lost 3. They've lost 4 as it is, so tough side to beat.
It's more of an individual thing that I'll do. That's my role really. Beforehand, we come out on the pitch here and I may grab a player or 2 during the warm-up.
Yes, please, if you're ready, please.
A lot of people will see Mervyn as first-team coach on the sideline, and you up there in the stand. And how does that sort of work?
You need a voice on the side, but you can't see the pattern of the play. But I try and sit as much of the time as I can up there so that I can see the general pattern of play and perhaps, give some advice on my views in terms of any substitutions that should be made.
And it's towards Hreiderson. Gets up well, and it's the opening goal. It's Jonathan Johansson. Here's Thomas. Murphy's continued his run. Lisby's in the middle, just lifts it towards Murphy. Oh, good save, could be a second, it is.
Before half-time, Curves and I may have a minute or 2 to discuss things. Should any changes be made? Once we get into the dressing room, our own little room, we'll decide perhaps what we should do.
Fischer-Chef. Support on the outside from Young. First time cross, chance for a third, it is! His first touch! He's only been on the field 30 seconds. Ewell's in the middle, demanding the ball. Fischer-Chef is arriving as well. Here's Ewell! 4-0.
Well done, boys. Great result that.
Doesn't get much better than that. 2-0 up, make a substitution,
Well,
and he scores with his first touch.
We just felt that, you know, those committed men forward and obviously trying to get back in the game. And we could hit him on a break, but it looked as if we wasn't going to get the third goal. Great week for us.
Yeah,
We got booed off the park 2 weeks ago, and
today was nice to be able to sit there for 3 or 4 minutes and completely calm.
we watched a couple of your games. I mean, you could have quite easily beat Man City. Could have quite easily beat Blackburn. See you later.
Curbs will definitely buy you a drink. 4-0.
What's this word buy?
It'll definitely get you a drink upstairs in the ball.
See how you just deflected on the curbs?
Yeah, straight away.
Straight away.
4-0.
I've got a
It
tab
takes
up there.
a
all
while.
right.
It'll definitely get you.
So you'll play any barber when you've got
That's
6
it.
points in a week, won't you?
Yeah, that's it.
Should have brought some in
Long
for
may
me.
it continue.
So what do you want from an assistant manager then? How would you describe his role?
Well, I think that, you know, our club has grown immeasurably over the last 6 or 7 years, and you know, it's just too big for one person to be in total control of everything. And you know, I use Mervyn and Keith especially as a buffer between me and a lot of other things that perhaps will waylay you during the day, during the week.
Right, so if a player's moaning, they go and see Keith instead of moaning to you? Or is it more sophisticated?
They may go to him first to see if they've got a bit of a case,
Yeah.
and you know, he might steer them one way or the other. But no, I think, as you know, Gordon will verify, you know, agents, media, the players.
I suppose he's been there donkeys. He's been there 40 years ago. You were barely born when he started. In fact, he's got a book out just talking about it.
He's
this
had
week.
2 testimonials.
All right. I know, but you can hardly ever get rid of him, can you? So, I mean, he'll probably outlive you there one way
That's
or the other.
right. I
won't he?
mean, tremendous servant to the club, and you know, I think he's been through everything that can happen at a football club. He's
He's
been
still
through.
valuable at the club because there's some guys staying too long.
Well,
and there's
Gordon,
no place for them.
Gordon, I like
He's
to
still
take as
valuable
much
there.
advice as I can,
Yeah.
and then make a decision.
I think
So
you want-
I'm not scared to.
You want
ask
him to
people
make you think, don't you? Really?
Well, sometimes you
Make
can't
me
see the
think.
wood for the
Okay.
trees.
So
can
you don't want a yes man then? I mean, Gary Pendrew is your assistant, so you don't mind him challenging you. At what time do you tell
He's
him,
got
no,
to make
you're
me
wrong,
think.
off you go?
Yeah.
And Steve Wiggler was the same, and Dennis said, make me think, and then I'll make decisions after that.
Right.
You know, and put someone else's case up, because you know, you may be totally blocked on a player
Yeah.
and not seeing it really, and perhaps you know, someone else's view may give you a different opinion and may steer you another way. But at the end, you have to make your decision.
But there will be managers who aren't confident enough to listen to other opinions, I suppose.
No, I think
That's just
we all
insecurity
do.
if you got that then.
I think we all do. I think
yeah.
you took any club, most of the Premiership clubs now have got at least 3 or 4 people involved in the first team.
If an assistant manager's a buffer, then you had Alex Ferguson as your manager. Who was the buffer in between the players and Alex Ferguson? It was Archie Knox at Aberdeen.
He wasn't the buffer. He just pushed that Alex further forward.
Did he?
Not strong enough, Alex. Get back in there, give him some more. Because you used to expect, you know,
Right,
from
yeah.
an assistant, the nice guy, Alex would come in and give you plenty,
Yeah.
and then the assistant would probably come in and help you. No, with Archie. Archie would go, and just a second,
Yeah.
you missed out there, Alex, and he would come in as well. Oh no, somebody help me.
But you were Ron Atkinson's assistant. How did you find that then? When you then were the buffer at Coventry, were you taking on the?
I was
players'
usually
roles then?
playing, so I couldn't speak. I was that tired at 30,
Yeah.
8:39. I used to sit there and just hang in there. But if Ron wanted me to speak, fine.
But there need to be a special breed, because you're going to kind of get probably none of the
Oh,
blame, but not much of the credit either.
You have to be able to say, look, I'm assistant manager, that's all I want to be, and I have to back the man. My problem as assistant manager, I wanted to get on there and be the manager
yeah,
too. You've got to accept the fact that you're assistant manager and that's what you do. I was
It's a
a great
specialised
assistant
role.
manager.
It's a specialised role at a football club.
Okay. At White Hart Lane yesterday, it was a new dawn.